everyone. Does that opening music not just make you want to get up and boogie just a little bit? It has become one of my new favorite little 20 seconds of time every week. So welcome to another Learning Live on this chilly February evening. End of February. I think we need a little taste of spring. So that's what I'm going to be bringing to you tonight. I am going to be creating with the Art and Creative Designs Field Notes collection that is by the one and only Katie Petite. And she's got some beautiful butterflies, some gorgeous florals, some nice springtime colors. So we are looking forward to doing some creating with that. Hi Margaret, how are you doing? I see people joining in, so please do in the comments below jot a hello. Let us know where you are tuning in from. I do want to give a humongous thank you to every single one of you who created and posted using our craft along session last week. That was so much fun, and it really warms my heart to see you guys that you were actually crafting along, which is awesome, and you made some beautiful creations. It was such a great format that applied to so many different occasions. It really makes me happy to see you guys creating. Hello Carmen, hello Shelley, hello everyone who is tuning in. We will do another craft along in March. Watch social media. Hello Lauren. Watch social media for details and all that. I'm just starting to plot out all of the learning lives for March, and I think we are going to have an amazing month. All right, we are digging in here. We've got some people watching. Let me flip over now to my desktop camera, and let's just do a little talk about what we are doing tonight. So bear with me, flipping over, and there we have it. So like I said, we are creating tonight with the Art and Creative Studio. I think I may have said Art and Creative Designs. I apologize if I got the name wrong. We are going to be using the new Field Notes collection by Katie. And I've got little bits and pieces here. So I was very fortunate to be able to take a class with Katie. And we created, let me flip it. And I did show this, I think, on What's New last week, but we did create a layout and a couple of other projects, and it was really all built around the idea of clusters. And Katie's approach to creating the layout I found was very interesting in that she made all her clusters first and then placed them on her project. So just as I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. It might not fit very well if I go too close. So let me just zoom in. The layout was supposed to be a one-page layout. We created, I think, 3 or 4 clusters of different sizes, and they were all to go on one page together. But I like having big photos, or at least at minimum 4x6 photos on my layout. So having a whole bunch of little photos, it isn't my style. So I took what I learned, I took those clusters, and I did spread it out over a 2-page spread. And yes, let me come back out. Yes, the backgrounds are a little bit different, but that never bothers me. On a layout, you can have them that the background doesn't actually match, but your photo, your title, your embellishments is what's going to tie your layout together. So if you look at this layout here, we had one cluster here that we created. We had, this was actually 2 clusters. There's a little one here and a bigger one up here. And then over here, this was the 3rd cluster, the 4th cluster. And then I just started tucking and playing and adding things in to the layout to fill it out. So tonight we're going to take maybe a little bit of learning from my class with Katie, and we're going to talk about clusters. We're going to build some clusters, and I kind of have a little bit of a formula that I follow when I'm clustering. And it's one of those questions that we get asked an awful lot about is people like the look of clustering, but it is sometimes hard to understand how to put it together. So I'll give you, I call it the 3-2-1 approach to clustering. We may not follow those exactly when all is said and done, but it is a great place to start. So let's talk about what we're going to be using tonight. And I don't have a firm 100% plan, so we're going to create some clusters, and then I'm going to show you, maybe we will do just a one-page layout. We can do a couple of journal pages, and we could do a card, depending on how our timing goes, so we can work on that. This is the Field Notes 12 by 12 paper pack. There is a 6 by 8 as well if you do prefer smaller format. But because this is what I got in my kit and I still have lots and lots of beautiful paper. Actually, I don't need to turn it. I can do it this way because there's no one beside me out there. But just some really pretty papers. Great B-sides as well. Lots of florals. Definitely makes you think of spring. And I think that's what we all need a little dose of. So some great papers here, whether we chop them down or use them as is. I really like that blue paper too. But yeah, lots and lots of great papers in this pad. So that is where that's going to kind of be our foundation. In this pad, interestingly enough, Arden does not do single sheets. They only do the pads. But it was nice to see that there was a cut apart page in this pad as well. And it's on both sides. So, you know, where this one, it's got the sentiment, but if you maybe didn't want the sentiment, you flip it over and there is a little bit more of a neutral option. And I still have half a page. So each paper in this pad, you get 2 of. I've used some, so that's why some were missing, but I've got those handy. I do also have, in case I want to dig into them, the solids pad sitting here. We did not get the solids in originally, I don't think, but we've just brought them in. What else have I got here? I have some leftover laser cuts that I may pull butterflies out of. A lot of what I'm going to be using tonight is in this ephemera pack. So there are some larger pieces here, like little file tabs, some library cards, and then the frames as well. So I will be, those will kind of be central to my clusters. And then I have these 2 little boxed goodies. The Field Notes I did talk about the ephemera rolls I did talk about in What's New, but I'll give you just a little overview in case you missed it. This comes with 3 rolls. I'll start with the little roll first. So the little roll is just little postage stamps. And I think we figured out that it's about a 12-inch span before the patterns start to repeat. I'm not even going to worry about putting those back in the box. Then we have the black and white tickets. And they've got perforations at different points. So you can make them big, make them small. And then this is probably my favorite part of this ephemera roll box. There are no perforations on this. You simply cut or tear. And they've got all these great kind of collage elements. And again, I think, well, maybe not quite a 12-inch span. So maybe, what is that, 8 inches? Oh, it's a 10-inch span. So it's not too bad before the pattern starts to repeat. So we'll pull some of that out, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how I would use it, whether I put it down on the page or whether I build it into my cluster. We'll talk about all of that. And then last but not least, I know Katie and I know Arden has had PET or PET tape before, but I've never really played with it. And Katie gave us some ideas on how to use it, so I'm a little bit excited about that. This one also has 3 rolls. It is, for lack of a better term, it's like a vellum tape or an acetate tape. Matt's poking his head in here.
That was not part of What's New.
This was not part of What's New because it just came in. So this, it's like an acetate. It's got a a plasticky feel to it. It is not adhesive on the back like a washi tape would be. Though I think you can peel the backing off. Yeah, it's all in other languages. 2 rolls of continuous stripe and film strip for seamless placement, while the third is a kiss cut tape filled with butterflies, sentiments, and botanicals. Well, we'll just play with it and find out. Or if anyone knows whether the pet tape, I think you can peel the backing off. That would make the most sense to me, but we'll see. This one is a film strip. It's hard to tell on the roll, but when we open it up. And then this is that one that said it was kiss cut. So it really does make like an acetate or a vellum sticker. And what I learned and why I'm really excited to play with these is that you can color on them with your Copic or alcohol ink markers. So I'm looking forward to giving that a try. So sometimes you just got to dig the stuff out and give it a try. So that's what I'm playing with tonight. I'm not even going to worry about what my base pages are going to be right now. We are going to build 3 clusters. So that is going to be my main focus for tonight. Please do jot questions in the chat. I've got Matt moderating from the other room, but I have learned how to make the Q&A box nice and big and nice big font so that I can read it. With all the lights and everything, it's often hard to see, and you know I need to go see the eye doctor as well. Okay, so clusters. We're gonna make 3 different ones and see, well, and maybe more. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, I'm gonna start with the ephemera pack. It's got some nice big elements as well as small elements. Now, I told you I have a bit of a formula or an approach when I am building clusters. And I'm going to grab a Post-it note and I'm going to write something down. So hopefully by seeing it written down, you guys will remember this. I do not have... There, I've got a marker in here. So when I do clusters, I like to take a 3, 2, 1 approach. Can you guys see that there? 3, 2, 1. And when you add those all together, unfortunately, it comes out with an even number, not an odd number, which I usually like to think about as odd numbers. But this, to me, helps me create clusters in a balanced way. You can always add and tuck afterwards, but I like to do 1 large image shape center point, 2 medium ones, and 3 small ones. And that way I can take a look at my ephemera, take a look at my pieces, and try to create a balanced approach. So I'm going to just keep that over here as a reminder. I don't need the packaging anymore, so let's make some space. So let's take a look at what is in our ephemera pack. And I'm going to somewhat loosely sort it into large. Oh, let me come down so you can see the large, medium, and small bits. So these are all pretty small. Then I've got those, you know what, I'm going to just, for argument's sake, I'm going to move these tags and tickets into the medium pile. We've got those guys over here. Oh, this one should go up here. And I'm going to pull out my sentiments just to keep them separate, those big sentiments there. So this is kind of a 2-for-1. If you and there's a couple of colors. There's a blue one and a green one and kind of an orangey peach one. I'm going to pop out the center so my frame is my large. My little birdhouse is my medium. All right, so large and medium, large and medium. Frame. There's words. And then when you go to put these away, don't get rid of all the hard work you've done to sort this. grab your little storage pockets, grab Ziploc bags, and keep them sorted so that you don't have to do this step again. There's some great big words here as well. I'm going to put them up here with the words. And there we have it. So I've got my small bits down here. They can slide off to the side for right now. I've got my medium bits and I've got my large bits. So in order to make 3 clusters, I'm going to start with 3 large pieces. And just so that we have a variety, I'm going to do one that is a frame. So I think, oh, what the heck. Stay true to the brand. I'm going to go with green for one cluster. The other 2, the other 2 I am going to put off to the side. Then over here we have some file tab pieces and we have these seed packets. I'm not feeling the seed packets tonight, so I'm going to put that aside. And because I've got green over here for this cluster, I think I'm going to use this blue file tab piece. So these other ones will go into my stash. And then that kind of takes care of the big things that were in the ephemera pack. In order to show you something different, what I'm going to do for my 3rd cluster is I am going to pull one of these cut apart cards. So I think I'm going to pick this orangey peach one here, and then that way we've got a balance of colors as well. So let me reach down to get my paper trimmer, and it wasn't where it belonged. Luckily it wasn't too far away. So I'm going to just cut out this little guy here. It is a 3x4, but I tend to just eyeball, team eyeball. All right, so there is my focal point for cluster number 3. Okay, so next we're going to go into our mediums. So we want 2 mediums for each cluster. And I mean, the words could technically be considered mediums as well. There's some fun sentiments, and on the back they're just plain. So I think I'm going to take Always, and I want to put that one with the frame. That frame's just got a little hanging chad here, so I'm just going to clean that off. It's bugging me. Let's put those aside. I might come back to those. Then I've got this little stash of medium things over here. Let's take, I like this little A-frame birdhouse. I'm going to put that over here with this one. And then I need something to go with this. Well, let's go with one of the library cards. These aren't going to go too far because these little tickets can, I don't know, you can make an argument, large versus small, but, I need 2. That's why. I'm like, something's wrong here. So I need 2 mediums. Remember? 3, 2, 1. So what else am I going to do? Let's grab this green Friends Forever to go over here with this cluster, and see how already, just by not even thinking about where they're placing them, that cluster is starting to come together. This guy here, let's grab, we've got lots of green already, so let's grab this. I sometimes wish the words were at the top instead of the bottom. But that will give us some color. And I'm going to cheat and say that those 2 mediums go together to make another medium. And then over here I need another one, so let's grab this green butterfly tag. Okay, so we've got our 1 large, we've got our 2 mediums. Now we need 3 smalls. So that's where we're going to dig in. And again, I think some of these little piles might have gotten mixed up a little bit. That's a pretty one. So let's put, there's 1 small. Let's go here and now. And love this photo. And oh, and you know what? I don't even have to stick with that. So this one's got 2. Let's go 2 over here. Love this photo. This fills my heart. And then over here, building on the blue, the good stuff. So the good stuff will go nicely there. And then here's a little never stop dreaming. So I've got 2 smalls for each one of these. I need 1 more small for each one. So that's where I'm going to come over here to my tickets. And let's pull, I'm just going to pull a little smoosh off. So let's do a yellow ticket. Let's do, over here, let's do a pink ticket. And then here, I'm going to grab these black and white ones. And I could, in theory, I mean, no one is going to, you know, well, now you all know my rule, but not the people looking at my project aren't necessarily going to know my rule. So if I take this, but keep it together as one piece, I could, in theory, say that that is one element. So I'm a little bit off, you know, in terms of sizing, but I think having that little breakdown just allows you to think about your cluster, take a look at your pieces. Inez is saying she takes so long to pick embellishments for her clusters. Sometimes we get paralyzed trying to think of the right way to do things, and you just kind of have to go by feel. It definitely is a piece of your heart that is coming out here, so let your heart lead the way. But having this little formula will just give you a starting point. I don't ever want you to say, oh, well, I've got 4 small clusters, but that breaks the rules. There are no rules. This is just a guideline. So we can go ahead and actually start building our clusters right now. No, I don't have a base page or a card base or journal pages, but we've got a starting point and we can start building things together. Now, I think what I'm going to do is, in my mind, I'm going to plan that this cluster is going to have a photo, which makes sense because it's a frame. I'm going to plan that this cluster is going to have a photo, but this cluster I'm going to build with the intention of putting it on a card. So I'm not going to worry as much about photos on this side. So let me see if I can find... I've got my little crop and create tray here. So I'm going to grab all of these little bits and put them into one little slot here. Keep those together. I'm going to grab, let's take this one away as well, put those in the second little slot just so I don't lose them. And let's focus on this center cluster to get us started. So I do want to cut just a little, because I don't actually have a photo, I'm just going to cut a little white piece of cardstock. Looks like if I go 2.5 by 2.5, that will give me a big enough piece. 2.5. 2.5. That should fit nicely in behind here. If you were planning to actually put a real photo in here, obviously you could start now, and that might inform and make you change some of your embellishments. If you're like me, where I'm creating this with no photos in place and really no immediate plans for what I'm going to use for, I would say either use a repositionable tape, and I'm gonna grab my green repositionable tape runner just to tack this into place, because you do want to be able to take this off the back, if you will, to put your photo on, or take this off the front, just be able to deconstruct it in some way. Or you could just choose to tack it down at the top so that you can then tuck your photo in afterwards. I'm seeing Melissa also struggles with clusters. I do think it's one of those things where there's often so many pieces in these ephemera packs, in these clusters, in these die cut packs. It's sometimes hard. It's hard to know where to start. So, hopefully this little, if you guys take nothing away from tonight other than 3, 2, 1, then my job is done. Okay, so I have my centerpiece, and you got all your different bits and pieces. We probably will add some more to this. But this is where, when we're constructing this, you want to think about layers. And it doesn't necessarily have to be fully dimensional, use 3 pieces of foam tape per level kind of thing. Just think about it in layers of how your eye is looking at this. We still want this, if this is a photo, it needs to be our centerpiece. It needs to be our focal point. So I'm going to be putting things on top. I'm going to be putting things underneath, but around. So I'm not going to put anything right here in the middle. I'm going to come off to the sides. So let me start this always one, because there's such a wide space here. I want to tuck that like so. So and you know what? I'm just going to go for broke and use my regular adhesive. But just do keep in mind that you want to be able to get your photo back in afterwards. So just a little bit of liquid for me. And I'm going to offset it. Try not to have straight lines. So we've got always here, but it's off to the corner. Our frame in the middle. I'm going to take these tickets next, and I'm going to come off the other side. So yes, that is a straight line, but you've got overlaps here. So that is kind of breaking things up and allowing the layers to visually happen. Okay, so just like that. And if that feels too angular for you, you could take this piece and put it more on an angle, or this is now where your other elements are going to come into play. This is feeling very right angle to me. So I'm going to take these guys. Now what I could do, and I think I will, you never know, I may want these sentiments later on, so I'm going to tear it. Keep that for later. Take this one and tear it as well. It's going to get tucked in behind. No one's going to see it. So I can do this. I am layering them one on top of the other on my ever so favorite jaunty angles. So there we go. I'm sorry, the colors are all blending in with my hands. Let's do this. So there you can see that the pink and the orange are layered on top of each other. And now I can tuck that in here as well. And honestly, I don't even really need any glue because it just fit nicely. So now, let me, bloop, there we go. You've got some angles happening there that are now breaking up your right angles. You can take this, love this photo. And I'm going to put it over here. And again, I'm not doing my words straight on. I'm doing it on a jaunty angle. And this is a case where I might pull in a foam square to give a little bit of dimension. In the trash. And not only is this breaking up some of the right angles by having a nice round shape, but I'm now overlapping an overlap and breaking up those lines. So I've got this fills my heart. Maybe up here. So here is my next piece of advice. Just because you have selected certain items off the top doesn't mean you have to stick with them. So if this isn't really working for what I want to do anymore, maybe I will take that off the table and come over here to my laser cuts, and got a little hit of pink here, but everything is a little bit monochromatic, so I feel like I need some color. So maybe I will grab, because I need another small. Maybe I'll grab this bumblebee. And I'm going to put the bumblebee right here. Who can tell me in the comments, I feel like a teacher, who can tell me why I'm putting the butterfly there? If you have taken or watched any of my videos, taken classes with me, you know that I am a huge proponent of triangles. So when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing, okay, there's a vertex corner up here. Then we've got our other corner down here. I need something to connect it to make a triangle. So that's why I'm putting him over here. You could 100% put him, let me get my tweezers, my fingers aren't working. I could put him down here. That's still making a triangle. But if I put him over here, there's no triangle. There is no triangle. It's just a straight line. So to me, that feels very unbalanced. And Ellen has just nailed it right here in the comments. It's to direct your eye. We want to surround that focal point. So by having that triangle, it is visually drawing your eyes into that center bit. So let me go ahead. And so this is one thing I should point out. If you guys are new to art and creative laser cuts, here is a fun thing you may not know. Her laser cuts are double-sided. Bloop. There's a bumblebee on each side, which for this little guy who is symmetrical, doesn't quite matter as much. But if we were going, say, with, let me pop one out here, this butterfly. Right now, he is facing the right, but maybe you want him facing into the picture. If he were over here, you can flip him over, and now he's facing the left. And as I hold this guy here, guess what? I think I like that hit of pink better than I like that bumblebee. So if you put that here, it's connecting your pink. Maybe I'll tuck something pink in here to be another part of the triangle. But I love that these are double-sided, so you can get those sideways facing things facing the right way. So I've got a little tiny piece of foam tape over here in my secret stash. My secret stash of, it was too long on my one project, but can't bear to throw it away. So let's pop him here. I'm still directing into my center, but overlapping them, there's no straight lines. And please bear with me, I'm going to sneeze. Or not. You know, when you go to sneeze and it goes away. Okay, so what else can I do to... So this has been our basic formula cluster. I think it could still have a little bit more. So I'm going to look at my pieces now. I'm going to see what else I can tuck in here to bring in some more color. I've got those there. Let's talk about this. So just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and tear this like so. So if I am working on my layout, for example, I might want this nice long piece. Let me come back out. There we go. This nice long piece of that ephemera roll. And I can place this on here in any way, shape, or form. But right now I'm feeling like this is just a little bit too much for the cluster. It's more of a page element than it is part of this cluster. So I'm going to keep it in my mind, but I'm not going to dig into it right now. Or am I? Because what I could do, so if you keep it long, I would walk away from it. But I could do this and bring that over there, or no, it's almost feeling too much to me. Might feel differently when I get it on the page, but I'm gonna walk away from this for right now. It's just off to the side. And what I like about building clusters independent of your page is that you can make those choices and you don't have to worry about stuff being stuck down. What else do I have to work with? I do have some more. So I've got those little tickets. I've got more of those. On this part of the laser cut, I do have some colored tickets too. Maybe this guy. So I could tuck that in here, but here's where, I'm going to zoom back in. Here is where you might run into a problem. Because I already have this stuck down, and it's stuck down with a piece of foam tape that's going to be really hard to get back up, I'm having trouble tucking that in. So here's my permission. If you need a permission slip, this is what it is. Go ahead and tear it. Go ahead and cut it. Manipulate this so that it's going to fit where you need it to fit in areas that nobody's going to see. So that one's there, but I might want another one. So let's grab, we've got green. I don't have another orange. Let's grab this orange guy. And if I were to do this, yep, we're having troubles. So let's tear that corner off as well. So that can tuck under, this can tuck under, and it's coming together. And Ellen says, and as usual, the hardest part is knowing when to stop. 100%. I think my best analogy, and I feel like I've used this before, but this is kind of like a haircut in that if you need to add more, so I guess a haircut, it's opposite of a haircut. Haircut, if you take off too much, you're in trouble. Here, if we put too much on, we might be in trouble. So do a little bit. And I'm going to just tuck that under with some glue. Like that. I can always add more. It'll be harder to take it away when I get onto my project. I don't like this little torn part here, so maybe this is where my little bumblebee can come in. Yep, I'm going to put that bumblebee right there, make sure my sentiments are still visible. And that camouflages that little torn edge. So, let me find... I like it. I like it a lot. We're not done. But for right now, this gives us our starting point. Let's go ahead and make... You know what? I was going to say, let's go ahead and make the other clusters. Oh, holy cow. Time has flown. It is 22:09 already. So we might not get all three done. But that's okay. I think we might get two. So let's take, I'm going to take a very basic let's grab a piece of pattern paper that might already have something on here that we don't want to, that we can leverage. I thought I saw one earlier that I liked.
It's the thought process they like.
I hope it's the thought process that they like. Yeah, this one. Okay, so I'm going to grab this and use this side. Oh, you can't see because it's too zoomed in. There we go. So there's that piece there. And yeah, we're going to go with this. And fortunately it's green. Let me just cut the advertising strip off. So this is where I am going to really leverage what's already on the paper to help me with placement. So I'm going to trim this down. This is right now 5.5 by 8.5. I'm going to make it 5.5 by 7.5 so that it could hold a 5 by 7 photo. And well, go 4.5 by 6.5. So here's my main photo. Centered on my photo mat. I don't know why. I always tend to make my focal photo vertical. So use the repositionable in case I change my mind. So this is going to tuck over here. But as I was saying, I'm going to use this element here to help me anchor everything into place. So my little cluster is now going to come here like this. So it's using that piece of the paper. I've got my main piece here. I've got this stuff here, and we're just going to go for it. Go for it with repositionable. So not really going for it, but come up a little bit. So much like when we were building clusters, I've overlapped so that we don't have straight lines matching up. But now I can take this cluster and I can take some of these elements and balance it off over here on this page. So I want some little tickets. So maybe this one I will take this pink ticket. I'm going to take this orange ticket, and this cluster can now, so this is going to be a little mini cluster up here in the corner that will offset. Will offset the bigger cluster. Okay, so tuck that like so. I can pull another bumblebee. I can pull, oh, so there's another one of those multicolored butterflies. Oh, there's my bumblebee. There's one here. Put him here. And just for fun, let's have this little bumblebee buzzing around. Over here. Okay. So really simply, this is what a cluster will do on a layout. So the size of, Margaret's asking, the size of this cluster does well on a page layout. What size would you use for a journal page? I think the cluster itself would work very well on a journal page. And guess what? Because I used because I used repositionable, let's do that. So if a journal page is give or take 8.5 by 5.5, I'm going to cut this piece down. Yeah, I think the colors will still work. I'm going to cut this down to 8.5 by 5.5. So let's do 8.5 tall. And I want to use this side, so I'm going to do 5.5 here. And I know this isn't exactly what some of the journal pages are, so it really depends on the size of the journal that you would be using. But that's an 8.5. Did I cut that right? 5.5, 8.5. I did. So maybe in this case, my photo would be 3.5 by 5.5. So I think this is already 5.5. So let's do 3.5 here. So that might be my photo. So let's do 3 by 5. That didn't work out. That's not right. Oh, I did it wrong. I did 4.25 by 3.5. So then I'm going to just cut this down to 4. So not your standard size photo. My boo-boo, but you get the idea. Will that fit? Maybe another quarter. There we go. When in doubt, crop it. So, there is our journal page. I'm going to imagine that my holes are on my left-hand side. Once again, I'm going to put my focal point photo, and I'm going to scooch it up a little bit towards the top. And then I can take this piece here. So maybe I have to come up a little bit more. And let's put it on a jaunty angle. This can come down here like so. So it really does make this piece proportionately feel a little bit bigger, gives it a little bit more impact than it did on that large 12 by 12 layout, but it still works really well with this. Now, again, had I been creating for a journal page, I might not have done this stretch quite as long. I might have used a smaller sentiment, but the frame itself, the cluster itself still works. I'm going to tuck just a little bit deeper so that I can, let me see what I've got in my little stash here. So again, oh, there's pink there. So let's do some green. So I could tuck that under there. I could grab a bigger butterfly. Maybe I don't want pink because there's a lot of pink there. I could put that butterfly there. And it again is tying things together. And I could put another little bumblebee floating over here. So that's how you could do it for a journal page. And again, Margaret, if you are if you know you're working on a journal page, then when you choose your large, medium, and small, your large for a journal page might not be quite as large as it would be on a layout. Because I was kind of approaching it from an overview, that didn't quite work out the way I had planned it, but it still works. And if you were doing a right-hand page, I'm a huge proponent in what you do to the left, you do the right. So just do a mirror image, or do a, top to bottom, where you put the photo down here and your cluster up there. So that was cluster number 1, shown 2 ways. We're not going to get 3 done, but I will show you how you would do it without a photo. So if we were doing a cluster for a card, a lot of the same things would come into play. So for this one, I had this 3x4 journaling card. I have the library card. This was going to be for my other one. And then I had all of these bits. So this is a great one where we've got this, friends forever. We've got our little tickets. We've got here and now, and we've got this little butterfly. And I think, let's follow the same approach. So if I'm doing this as a card, I know I've got to keep this as a smaller format. So sometimes, as I pull all my bits onto the floor, I'm going to have an A2 card panel just cut out, 5.5, so that I can just have a visual from a scale standpoint. You don't want anything to go too far off the page. So I'm not sticking it down, but I'm just using this as a guide. So I've got my main card here. I'm going to take the blue card, so this is the medium one, and I'm going to tuck it down here. I haven't glued anything yet. This little guy can come in here, so we're bringing in some color. We can take our ticket, and this one I might put over top. And then I want this to be that focal point. So this is a case where it's the opposite of the photo. I'm totally okay with this word sentiment covering up the center. We're still drawing into the middle. We're still balancing things out, but it's just a slightly different approach, knowing that it's for a card.
Lauren is saying she lost audio. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that.
Lauren says she has lost audio. Can you guys still hear me okay? Okay, we're testing. We got a couple of comments that audio is gone.
I hear you on my computer.
Matt says he can hear me, so I'm gonna keep going. Yep, I can hear it. So hopefully, Shelley's saying sound is fine. So it might just be a glitch through the airwaves. We're almost done, so we'll just keep soldiering on, and hopefully, if you did lose sound, then you can come back and just watch this end little bit on replay. All right, I am going to zoom in a little bit just so we can see a little closer. So this is starting to come together. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start to commit, because then I can figure out what my base piece is actually going to be. And I'm finding that all these colors are a little bit soft. So this is where I might bring in some darker, bolder colors. Maybe even swap out. That gives us a little bit more punch. Oh, I've got this nice big blue ticket here too. That one looks good. So this I might, and if I'm going to tuck all of that under, I will probably cut it, tear it in half, or I could bring this over here, or I could do both. So let's, honestly, sometimes a smaller format is harder, just trying to get it all to fit in nicely. Okay. Do I want anything else in behind? Maybe. What have I got here? A little bit of greenery. No, I don't like that at all. Okay, I'm just going to start sticking stuff down because this I can lift out. Sometimes this is the hardest part. So this is where I tend to try to either keep things together or even just, like, I'm going to lift, put some glue behind here, and then put it down. And, well, now that it's up, this can go down like that. And we just put glue. It's a lot of tuck and shove. And let's do this guy. In behind here as well. I think at this point I want to see what my background is going to be. Ooh. No, I don't like the orange with that. Too many choices. Too much orange. Oh, that might be nice. And look, I haven't even had a chance to play with that PET tape. So we might have to come back to that. That might even be its own live someday. Things to do with markers. Pardon me, Matt?
Once you figure it all out.
Once I figure it out. But, you know, we had so much fun playing with those clusters. So there's my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This can come on here. I am coming off the side, so I need to move. There we go. We'll move that up. Let's tuck that, and we do have things on jaunty angles. Let's do that little postage stamp. Here and now I'm going to nest right in there. So a little trio that makes its own triangle. And where did my sentiment go? So now I can, what if I tuck? Anyways, I would like to think that you've gotten the point by now. You've gotten the idea. Here I've got a cluster here, a cluster here. We need to complete the triangle. So let's find one last butterfly. Maybe down here we can have a nice little pink butterfly. That makes, whew, I was feeling very unbalanced. So now that I've got this one last little butterfly in that bottom right hand corner, now I don't feel quite so unbalanced. And there is your card. Throw some gems on there. Throw your enamel dots on there. Throw another butterfly on there. It's totally cool. You can keep going if you want, but as Ellen said earlier, then half the battle is knowing when to stop. So there you have it. That is our quick 101 on clustering. I'm trying to find my mouse as I'm in here. Let me come up to my final screen here. There we go. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Your homework. Yes, I'm going to give homework. Matt's saying homework? Yes, because what you learned tonight is only as good as how much you put it into practice. So my homework for you tonight is to, or this weekend, doesn't have to be tonight, but my homework for you is to go and dig out an ephemera pack, a set of frames, a couple of embellishment things, 3x4 cards, some variety, and put into practice what I showed you tonight. Don't worry about having a project in mind. Just worry about building some clusters. Maybe pick one of those ephemera packs that has been in your stash for quite a while and you still don't know what to do with it. Build some clusters. Remember, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Here's my post-it note. Remember the 3, 2, 1 format. 1 large, 2 medium, 3 small. What's that?
Nothing.
Oh.
Your silliness.
Matt's laughing at me in the other room. And give it a try. Think about triangles. Think about large, medium, and small. And just play around to see how they turn out. You will only get better by practicing and playing around. So thank you so much for joining me for the last Learning Live in February. We'll be back here next Tuesday. And we got some good stuff coming. So you are going to want to be tuning in. Next week will be the 3rd of March?
Yeah.
3rd of March. So we got some good stuff coming. And hey, maybe next week will be PET tape. We will finish part 2 of this particular Learning Live. Okay, have a good night. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to y'all soon.